This presentation provides a high-level overview about how integrated business planning can dramatically improve how organizations plan and manage their business. Its objective is to provide an understanding of the key issues in about 10 minutes. As such, it doesn't provide a detailed understanding of them. Other materials are available that can provide these details, examples of which are summarized at the end of the presentation. Before getting started, let's address a few administrative issues. First off, I won't be addressing every single point on the screen. I'll assume that you can read faster than I can speak. If you want to review the screen in more detail, you can press the pause key at any time. You'll also notice a table of contents on the left side. You can jump to a specific page by selecting the appropriate title. And lastly, you may want to watch in full screen mode for better viewing by pressing F11. So why should you listen to this presentation? Well, it's because it provides unique insights into how global organizations can achieve a significant step change in how they plan and manage their business, and more significantly, about how integrated business technologies enable these changes. What needs to be emphasized is that technology is merely an enabler. What drives the value is how this technology is used to re-engineer planning as well as broader management processes. In describing this process, we'll address how these processes address recognized business challenges facing global organizations. So let's get started. In recent years, organizations have made significant investments in planning, budgeting, business intelligence, and other such technologies. For smaller and less complex organizations, these investments have met most of their needs. However, as organizations become more complex, this isn't always the case. Traditional tools and processes tend to fill a smaller proportion of their needs. In other words, significant capability gaps remain. Complex organizations find it increasingly difficult to improve aspects of their planning and performance management processes, examples of which are shown on the screen. These challenges are dominating discussions in articles, research studies, conferences, and social networking sites. But few organizations are addressing these challenges holistically. In most cases, individual stakeholders address specific ones with varying degrees of coordination. What's being experienced is that such approaches really don't work well. Why is this? Because these challenges are highly interconnected. For example, the models required to support profit-based sales and operations planning are really the same ones required for more effective cash flow forecasting and foreign exchange hedging. As a result, they really aren't making the progress that they'd like. Some describe it as hitting a wall, one that they just can't seem to get past. Inconsistent strategy execution is one of the most common symptoms of hitting this wall. This broader business issue often manifests itself in a number of other common issues, examples of which are shown on the screen. From an executive's perspective, what they often experience are unexpected results from the decisions that they make. When this happens, some describe it as losing their feel for the business as it becomes more complex. And for them, this could be very frustrating. So why do organizations hit this wall? Well, it's because they've been unable to effectively address 5 problems that are shown on the screen. And it's these problems that undermine strategy execution and most cost and process improvement efforts. These problems exist because organizations lack effective capabilities for coordinating business outcomes across functions, business units, and legal entities. And this is significant because strategies and value propositions all cut horizontally across these vertical organization structures. Yet the way in which organizations manage and govern are still dominated by more traditional vertically based management approaches. What results is an alignment paradox, where the planning and performance management processes organizations employ are in direct conflict with the strategies that they're pursuing. So tackling this set of problems is fundamental to superior strategy execution and value creation. So what's the solution to this situation? It lies in integrating strategic, financial, and operational planning and decision-making. The result? A matrixed approach to planning and decision-making that actually works. So what makes this approach different than ones used in the past? Well, two things. First, it provides the basis for connected decision-making, where organizations can leverage collective intelligence in conducting analysis to support key decisions. And second, it provides the means to plan, manage, govern, and reward on the basis of business outcomes. And these capabilities represent a significant breakthrough for how companies plan and manage their business. So, what's new that enables these capabilities? The answer lies in integrated business planning applications, and more specifically, the integrated and process-based business models they support. Now, we could devote a whole presentation to describing these models, but in the short time that we have here, this is what you need to know about them. They integrate all aspects of strategic, financial, and operational planning. In simple terms, this means connecting all the planning inputs, shown on the left, to all the outputs, shown on the right. One of the implications of this is an ability to derive profit, cash flow, and balance sheet forecasts directly from a set of balanced scorecard targets. So what results from this integration is a realistic and transparent representation of an organization's business that all stakeholders understand and agree with. Provided on the screen are two graphs. These are examples of financial and operational forecasts which could be outputs of the balanced scorecard translation process described on the previous screen. Integrated business planning enables organizations to run any number of scenarios to understand how strategic, financial, and operational objectives or constraints affect them. And it's also an example of forward-looking information that organizations often struggle to develop and which are fundamental to addressing the challenges discussed earlier. Three key points are worth highlighting about this screen. First, integrated business planning is not a replacement for other planning and performance management processes and applications, such as those shown on the screen. It complements them by addressing capability gaps in them. Second, one of the reasons that organizations have these capability gaps is that they buy applications and develop processes to meet siloed business needs. What they need to do is take a more holistic approach to addressing broader business needs. And third, the way to meet these broader business needs is by leveraging integrated business planning to establish an integrated management process. After all, while integrated business planning is a key enabler of value, it's actually an organization's management process that delivers it. So what do you get from integrating these management process components that you didn't have before? Well, it's the ability to manage risk and complexity, and more specifically, 4 types of risk as shown on the screen. Now, some might say that they already have these capabilities, but typically these are managed in isolation and not at an enterprise level. As a result, the information is often wrong or not available when needed. If the information is available, it's often too late to be a meaningful decision support tool. Moreover, these risks can't be evaluated simultaneously through rapid and iterative scenario analysis. And it's this capability to identify and simultaneously analyze these risks across an enterprise with speed that is the key breakthrough and driver of value. Depicted on this page is a high-level overview of an integrated planning and forecasting process. To some, this 6-step process might look a lot like the steps one would use in a sales and operations planning process. And this would be a correct observation, with the exception that this process has been extended to the enterprise as a whole. Now, this may seem like a foreign concept to finance professionals, but sales and operations planning is nothing more than an advanced form of driver-based planning. The red boxes on the left, together with the related process steps, represent how people in different parts of the organization can be engaged in the process in a way that is tailored to their specific needs. Now, getting into details of the specifics of the process is beyond the scope of the presentation. The key takeaway is that the process is fundamentally different than traditional ones. There are 5 primary differences between traditional and integrated planning processes. The main one is the first one. What the integrated model does is to remove planning dependencies. And it's this ability to do concurrent planning which is the main driver of cycle time reduction. Integrated business planning has a history of generating significant value by addressing specific business issues for complex organizations. In the middle of the screen are examples of the types of business issues that integrated business planning has been used to address. Provided in the circles are examples of what organizations have realized from using these capabilities. Others not shown on the screen have yielded significantly more than the examples here. 3 things are worth noting. First, what's common to each example is that they all involve complex issues affecting multiple functions, business units, and legal entities. Second, the ROI on each of these projects all range between 30 to 50 times investment cost. And third, the results were achieved in less than 6 months with little IT involvement. The opportunity now is for organizations to build on these results by incorporating these tools into their management processes. Integrated business planning, like any other change program, will get little traction unless it addresses challenges that are important to key stakeholders. Therefore, a good place to start is by connecting the dots for them. What do we mean by this? On the screen, you'll see a number of business challenges and the stakeholders most interested in them. What they need to understand is that the challenges they face are usually experienced by others, just in a different way. Connecting the dots means developing this understanding together with a shared approach for addressing them. Provided on this screen are some of the key takeaways from this presentation. As you read them, a couple of comments are worth making. In recent years, organizations have become more global and complex. However, their management processes have not kept pace with this complexity. Recognizing this fact is an important first step in addressing the challenges that such organizations face. This was a very short presentation about what's new in the world of planning and managing in complex organizations. The topic is far too complex to get into significant detail within the time constraints of this presentation. You probably have a number of questions, some of which may be shown on the screen. Other material is available to explore these and other questions in more detail. So let's circle back to the key messages that we started with. Hopefully, you now have an appreciation for the logic behind the statements shown on the screen. Obviously, there's a lot more detail underlying these statements. It would be a pleasure to explore them with you. Thank you for taking the time to view this presentation. Please feel free to use the contact information on the screen for further details about its contents.